the webinar. So thanks, everybody. We're starting, and see that good-looking guy there with a beautiful woman. That's my wife. That's Vicky, and we're a family-run business. Really proud. We've been running the business for 20 years now, which is pretty amazing. We started off in Australia, and now we're throughout the world, and we're in the UK doing one of the world's best walks tonight, and we'll talk about it. But yeah, I'm really passionate about pack-free walking and being an immersive experience, and this certainly is one of the most beautiful walks in the world. So very excited to share it with you today. Today, I'll just introduce you really quickly. We've got Mark Reid, and there's the good-looking guy there on a coast to coast. And you might want to talk about yourself, but thank you so much, Mark, for being a part of the Life's an Adventure guiding walking experience. You've been with us for 3 years now, 3
Yes,
years.
I think a couple of years.
Yeah,
And yeah, I've
yeah.
walked the coast to coast. Well, it says there, does it 9 times? I've got my 10th full one
Wow.
this year, and then I do the highlights with yourselves
Yeah.
as well.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I've been an outdoor professional since 1997. I did a degree in geography, and then I worked for a brewery as an area manager, and I gave it my job because I wrote a book about walking in pubs in 97, and then I that did really well. I wrote 17 walking books, and then I
Wow.
branched out into guiding 20 years ago. So I've taken it's actually nearly 22,000 people out now, just coming up to that,
Wow.
but coming up to 34,000 miles a pass. And it's a full-time job for me, and it's everything from the coast to coast to 1 day navigation courses and team events.
Yeah.
So I've taken a lot of people out on the
Yep. And
hills.
drunk a few beers along the way.
I do enjoy
Yeah.
traditional English pubs and beer. It's part of our culture and heritage.
Yes. Yeah. It's very cool.
Not,
Some of the
not
pubs
whilst
around.
we're walking. I just hasten to add, there's nothing better than going to a lovely inn at the end of a walk, which is what makes these walks so special. The
Yeah.
fantastic places to stay at.
Yeah. Very English. All right, just a little bit about Life's an Adventure. As you can see, we're the 17 winners of awards across Australia, and we were voted back in 2013 the best walking tour operator in Australia, adventure operator, which is a very proud thing. My wife had a lot to do with that. She's there, but yeah, she had cancer after that, and we decided to sort of take a step back from the awards since then. Um, we've got all the awards, so not much more to prove. But Life's an Adventure is, walking, and we've got a new logo now, which is walking's only part of the adventure. Yes, we walk some of the most beautiful walks in the world, but I think where you stay and what experiences, like Mark was just saying, the pubs at the end and what you can create along the way is what's truly remarkable. And this walk certainly, I think, what stands out for me is the accommodation, our incredibly knowledgeable and fun guides that we have that make it really exciting. And yes, this is probably voted one of the most beautiful walks in the world. So tick, 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 pretty awesome walk. Yeah, so there's some of the walks. We're all throughout the world and growing all the time. So thanks so much for joining us today. We'll go in. Yeah, so I've sort of um, hit on some of these points already, but what makes the tour so special is pack free. You don't have to carry your clothes, only your food for the day, maybe your camera and a raincoat. If you're a little bit unlucky. But we also, what I'm proud to say is every day we have flexible walking options. It's your holiday. If you want to do the full amount, Mark will certainly, you know, give you that opportunity to do the full day's walk. But also it's your holiday, and you want to take the afternoon off, or you want to have an easier walk. We will facilitate easier walking options too, because everybody's different. Some people like to not go so far, or go, have an easier day. We pride ourselves on a small group experience, so there'll be no more than 12 people on the tour, but we'll run it at 4 people as well. So 4 to 12, somewhere in there. As I mentioned before, the accommodation is just incredible along the way. I once met a well-to-do woman that did the coast to coast, and they were really upset with their standard of accommodation. And I personally went on this walk and picked all this accommodation. I think this is what stands is the incredible accommodation along the way. Yes, some are interesting and not so great, but some are just stand out, amazing places that, yeah, staying in the castle is quite incredible. And the food that you get along the way is pretty cool. Most days you're having a lunch at the pub, aren't you?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
we. Oh, there's also the support vehicle, the minibus that brings lunch as well if there's not a
yeah.
pub. So
If
it's
there's
a
no pub along the way, but yeah, if there is. So let's go. So basically, do you want to start with the overview, Mark?
yes. So the Coast to Coast was devised in 1973 by Alfred Wainwright as a walk from sea to sea, and it takes in three national parks: so the Lake District, the Yorkshire Dales, and the North York Moors National Parks, and which, as we're Mark was just saying, is it's not just a walk. The walk is the means to see it. So you're traversing geology from 480 million years to 150 million years, from the Ordovician to the Jurassic. You're traversing three distinct areas of accent and culture, from the food to the drinks as well, and moving across from Cumbria to Yorkshire, which is where I'm based in Yorkshire. So you see such a difference in such a small area, or from one side of the country to the other, which is what makes it so special. It's it's that change every day from the mountains of the Lake District to the Vales of Yorkshire. It is such a special journey. And then the evenings as well, in historic buildings, lakeside hotels. I said a castle. There's Gisborough Hall, which is just superb. And you feel it's part of that immersive experience that you're in the daytime looking at amazing views, at the history beneath your feet, prehistoric remains, to the dry stone walls network, and then in the evening, relaxing with a meal in a very historic building as well. It's such a superb journey. And then, of course, you're carrying a pebble from the North Sea, so the Irish Sea to the North Sea. So the beauty of this walk is it's the highlights, and it's the very best parts of it.
Cool.
Do you want to talk about day
Yes.
one? Oh,
Yeah, that'd be
sorry.
great.
I was waiting for a question. All right. St. Bees. So it starts on the West Coast, and St. Bees is famous for its abbey. And so after a transfer from Manchester, I'll meet you at the coast, and then we set off. The coastline there is beautiful red sandstones. We pick up a pebble and dip your boot in the sea. And then it starts off with the coastline and cliffs of St. Bees, and then moves inland. So there are birds there. There's the St. Bees Head Lighthouse, and we move through villages of Samwith and Cleator. And then in the distance, you'll start to see the mountains of the Lake District, which is a bit of a teaser for the second day. So, and then it's staying at Moresby Hall that evening. So it's a quite a gentler start for the trip, with not too much climbing on that first day. It is 15 kilometers, but there are options on that, particularly at Samwith, you
Yeah.
can see on the map. So yeah, I mean it's a sort of an easing in day.
Yeah.
But
Plus,
15
you've
kilometers,
got the transfer from Manchester, so you've not got much time in the day to do everything.
yeah, yeah. Um,
Hmm.
so we usually having lunch at Samwith. on the walk. So yeah, it's a
Bit of an
uh,
intro day.
it is, yes. And as you're getting towards Cleves, you said you see the mountains of the Lake District just in the distance. We're heading towards them
Hmm.
on the first day.
Okay. I don't know much about Moresby Hall. Do you know much about it? Looks pretty
Um,
cool.
so it does look superb. It's a new one for this year, so I haven't stayed there
Yeah.
before, but it's
Oh,
got
okay.
some really excellent reviews. It's not one I've stayed at. It's a new one, but that looks really impressive.
Hmm.
Saw a
Okay.
poster.
Yeah, we moved it from the previous place due to some of the
Yeah,
complaints, unfortunately.
yeah.
Yeah, so tell us about day two. This looks outstanding, Lake District walk.
It is. So day two, we're heading into the Lake District and the western valley of Ennerdale. Dale is a Viking word for a valley, so they're all called dales. And we walk alongside that lake and then head up towards the head of the valley to a an old bothy, which is a shepherd's hut that is now actually a youth hostel. And then we climb out of there up onto the pass known as Honister Pass, where the day finishes and the minibus will meet us. So that Honister Pass has a slate mine and a cafe there as well. So this one does take us into beautiful and remote terrain. It's heading up a valley, and there's a climb out of that valley up Loftbeck, which probably doesn't mean much to you when I'm just saying it. But it's heading into sort of the mountains up into a mountain
Yeah.
pass. And there's a sort of
Okay.
overview.
There's a
Yeah. So short of 10 miles, but there is some 14 kilometers. Do you think in miles or kilometers?
kilometers. Yeah.
Yeah. We have a strange thing here where our maps are all metric, but all our signposts are in miles, which is
Yeah.
typical Britain. We drive in miles an hour, but fill up in liters. So it's quite a dual thing when we talk about distance. Yes, so 14 kilometers is 9 miles, but the terrain is different that day. It's a bit more mountainous. The good paths and tracks,
Yeah.
um, but you're heading into some beautiful areas. And at the end points on the right hand side, the eastern side, the black dot there is Honister Pass, and you can see the two lakes, which are Bussamere and Crummock Water, and you get views sweeping down into that valley
Yeah.
from the higher pass.
So
So
14 kilometers and about 400-meter incline.
uh, yes, it will be. You head up to a high point of 600 meters,
Yeah.
the highest point you get, but obviously we're not starting at sea level. So there is some climbing on that day, but as I said, there is easier options to walk to the lake, and then if people wanted to end their walk there, the minibus can meet us at the lake, at the head of the lake.
Running day though. Hmm.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, this accommodation in Grasmere. Oh my God, there's so many beautiful places to stay in Grasmere, but this one was the pick for us on the river, I think, and great food, beautiful accommodation. I don't think anybody will be unhappy with this place. It's pretty, what, 4 star, 5 star?
yeah. I mean, it's a superb location. So Grasmere is a village, and it's also a lake. Grasmere, Mere mean it's a Viking word for a lake, and grass means wild pigs.
Hmm.
It's where Wordsworth is buried in the village,
Yeah.
and the hotel is right on the lake, overlooking the lake. It's named Daffodils because of obviously Wordsworth's poem, Host of Golden Daffodils. Um,
Cool.
Excellent hotel, really good quality food, great service. It is a highlight.
Hmm.
So the next day is a walk over the mountain pass to down to Glenridding from Grasmere, and there's a climb up, steady climb up, a good path onto the pass of Grisdale, and there's a lake up there, so it's a high mountain lake. Again, it's about a 500-meter climb, but again, good paths. So you just steady climb up to this pass between the mountains of um, Fairfield and Helvellyn. And then we drop down into Glenridding. So it's that day is again about 14, 15 kilometers, about 9 miles. Well, it says 11 there. So, that was off the top of my head. Um, so it usually takes about 5 or 6 hours to do that. Um, and again, great mountain scenery. And then we
There is a
finish.
3 kilometre optional extra.
Yeah. Um, so it depends where it. So with that one, it's up into the mountain pass. You can see the little lake in the middle
Yeah.
that the path passes. It's got a legend of a the sword of the King of Strathclyde, and he was threw his sword into the lake. But I'll tell you about that as we pass the lake. And then we
Mm.
head down to Glenridding, which is at the head of beautiful lake of Ullswater. There are 16 lakes in the Lake District, but there are 214 mountains, which is a bit odd why they called it the Lake District. Should be the Mountain District. But the lakes are big. The biggest lake in England is Windermere, and the deepest lake in England is Wastwater. So there are,
Mm.
and we'll see a lot of these lakes or pass them.
Yeah.
As
I have to say, in on the lake is one of the most beautiful English, manors that I've ever stayed at. It's just stunning.
Yeah,
Mm.
right on the lake on Ullswater, which means the Lake of the Wolf. Ulls is a Viking word for wolf. It's where Donald Campbell set one of his water speed records in. I
Oh,
don't know if you know Donald Campbell.
yes,
On
we do.
Ullswater, he then went to Coniston Water, where unfortunately Bluebird crashed. But you can just walk down to the lake, as you can see there after your walk and before dinner. Um, a stunning location, and you see the picture on the left, the back there, the snow-capped mountains there, the Helvellyn range of mountains behind.
Mm. Stunning. Okay.
So the next day, we leave the Lake District behind and we head out to Orton, which is a lovely village, and it's called the Westmoreland Plateau. So the Lake District is quite a distinct area, compact area of mountains. And then in between the Lake District and the Yorkshire Dales is an area of limestone called the Westmoreland Plateau. And we head across there. So a flatter, I won't say flat, but flatter day. And lots of historic remains. So there's Bronze Age stone circles, prehistoric remains, Iron Age settlements that we could go and see. And then we get to Swaledale, where there's this disused railway, which is very dramatic. And we walk across that viaduct. And it's a nature reserve with beautiful flowers and trees and wildlife. And it's famous for a rare butterfly. And then we head into the lovely town, small town of Kirby Stephen, which is nestled on the hills, just at the foot of the hills of the Pennines. And the
Yeah.
Pennines are a chain of hills that run, it's called the backbone of England, and the Yorkshire Dales is part of that. It's an area within the Pennines. So in the
Mm.
Pennines, you've got the Peak District, South Pennines, Yorkshire Dales, North Pennines, and then the Cheviots, which are all different named areas, but they're all part of the Pennines. And Kirby Stephen sits at the bottom of that. It's famous for its church, which has got the Loki stone, which is a Viking carving. And this is where we stay at Augill Castle, just outside Kirby Stephen.
Oh, there's the walk there. So pretty
Yeah,
flat with a bit of a
yeah,
down at the end.
yeah, it is. Yeah. I mean, say it's flat because ish. But you can see the undulations. It's small ups and downs as opposed to big climbs on that day. But very beautiful,
Yeah.
very green, and lots to see along the way. Lots of interest of
Mm.
prehistoric remains.
Okay. Can I talk about Augill Castle? What I loved about, it's only 15 minutes from Kirkby Stevens. Kirkby Stevens is a nice little town, but 15 minutes away, transfer at the end of this day, is a castle, which I just love. You're going to really love. It's got, I think, about 17, 18 different rooms. Each room's sort of, different. And as you can see, one of the rooms there with a four-poster bed, just beautiful. But there's so many interesting rooms. There's the hat room, the hat hall, and the owner of this castle is an ex BBC chef. had her own chef program, and she has a paddock to plate experience. And it's just incredible. I think the photo before showed everybody at dinner in sitting at the table in a 20-seater table, but the food's amazing. And yeah, I think you're going to really love this castle. It's quite not many Australians get to stay in a castle, and this one is just fun, beautiful, and quite a unique experience. So yeah, bit off the coastway, but yeah, really well worth it. You might
So
want to talk about this next day.
yeah, so we just moved from there rather than walking from Kirby Stephen over Nine Sanders. We go over to Keld, which is a tiny little hamlet at the head of Swaledale.
Yeah,
And then Swaledale is a valley that runs west to east through the Yorkshire Dales. And then we've got 2 days through Swaledale. And I'm glad you've put there England's most beautiful valley, because I think it is as well.
yeah.
It's just
I've read. Yeah,
Sorry?
I've read that this is one of the most beautiful day walks in the world, today and the next day.
I try not to tell many people that because it'll get very busy, but
Yeah,
it is. I live very close to it, and it is my favorite place to walk. It's just the light on the landscape. It looks like it's got green velvet draped across the hills, and stunning. Hopefully, we get a nice sunny day. But in June, it's famous for its beautiful hay meadows full of flowers. And in August, September, the heather comes out, so all the hills are purple.
wow.
Hence, like the purple-headed mountain, as per all things bright and beautiful. And this was where James Herriot, the original Alf White, who was the vet who wrote the books under the pen name of James Herriot, he spent his time in Swaledale and Wensleydale, which is what inspired him to write his books. So we walked from Keld down through the valley and through countless dry stone walls and passing waterfalls and these beautiful little villages. And you can see on the left one there, we stopped for lunch at the King's Head at Gunnerside, which is now a community pub. It's owned by the village, and which is happening more and more to save and keep these pubs open. Is the village buy them, and then everyone's got a vested interest in in going to them and keeping them
That's a
going.
great idea.
It is. There's more and more, and it really works. Because as I said, there's lots of people sharing the cost of it, and and they all seem to be very successful. So we go there for lunch at the King's, and then we carry on down through the valley, and there's different options through the valley. This is one of the key things about having myself and my colleagues do these walks, is that I know this area extremely well, and in Swaledale, I've walked every single path there is. And so if the weather is a bit inclement, then we'll take a different route. If it's beautiful, we might take a slightly different route, just to make the very best of what we're seeing.
Yeah.
So it depends on
Mark, can I butt in? We
yeah.
forgot to say that we have a bus as well and a driver at our disposal for the whole time. So it makes it really easy to be able to be flexible with where we go. So
It does, yes.
yeah. So
With
it's a
this
real
one,
luxury, isn't it?
so last September, it was a beautiful day. We all walked to the King's for lunch, and the driver was waiting for us there, had to put the order in for us. And then in the afternoon, we walked, and if you just look towards the right-hand side, I can't really point, but there's a little sort of bit where the route sort of goes up a bit, halfway between Gunnerside and Reith. Is the driver met us there at Surrender Bridge, so that some people who didn't want to walk the entire
Yeah.
afternoon could get the bus
It's
into.
easy to make. Yeah, where it meets the road, we
Yeah,
can
that's it.
pull people
I
out.
mean,
Mm.
I'm in contact with the driver if anyone needs a lift with that. So that's easily arranged just on the day,
Mm.
depending on the weather and how people are feeling as
Yeah.
well. So it's a
Cool.
really good course.
But
Yeah,
one of the best walks ever. And
it
look at
is.
this. We end up in Reith, and I believe the Burgoyne is the best, again, the best accommodation in Reith. And what a beautiful little town square it's surrounded, isn't it? With great food. Very English. Mm.
It's a lovely setting. It's overlooking the large green, and in part of which is cobbled because it's still has markets. It's a large village, really. It's a sloping green, so that the Burgoyne looks down across the green towards the hills in the distance, and it has a very relaxed old country house feel to it. It's a really lovely hotel.
Mm. Okay, we'll go on to the next day.
And this one, because Swaledale's so good, we carry on walking down from Reith to Richmond, which is where Swaledale, the valley opens out into the Vale and Mowbray. And there you can see the castle. So Richmond, I think there's over 50 Richmonds in the world, but this was the first. And the castle was one of the first keeps to be built in stone after the Norman Conquest, 1066. It was about 1100 it was built, and it gave its name to the town Richmond, which means Norman French for a strong hill. And it has got a dramatic location. It's on a big sweep in the river where there's waterfalls, and it's got the most complete Georgian theatre in the country. Town walls, a lovely marketplace you can see. There's a lot there. It's a beautiful town. So when we walk through Swaledale from Reith, it's again nice villages. We go past Marske with a historic church where St. Oswald was rested about 1,000 years ago on his journey up to Durham Cathedral. And then through lots of woodland as well as we're coming into Richmond. So it's a varied day again. And the driver
Very up
meets
and
us
down.
apart with lunch. And the church there has an honesty cafe where you get drinks and snacks as well, and then finish at Richmond. And we have a walk around Richmond just to take in the historic, the
Yeah,
waterfall, the castle, the theatre.
yeah.
I'll
There's a Shakespeare theatre there, isn't it? Famous.
Yeah, it's a intact, completely intact Georgian theatre. I think it's the most complete intact theatre. There's something about it. It's unchanged since Georgian times, tiny. So I usually knock on the door and speak to them very nicely, and they show us around
Cool.
the theatre. That
Good to
happened on
have
last.
people in the know.
That's it.
Mm. So this is Easby Hall. So out of Richmond, is that right? A little bit out of Richmond?
Yeah, it's about a mile out. If you
Yeah.
look on the left-hand picture, you can see through the window the ruins of Easby Abbey. So a very historic location. Would definitely look around the ruins because there's a parish church that isn't ruins and it's famous for its medieval wall paintings. But the ruins are a really beautiful setting, and
Mm.
they were well, Henry VIII was responsible for the fact it is a ruin.
Yeah.
So lots of history there as you're looking out the window across to Easby Abbey.
Mm. Okay.
I haven't stayed at Easby Hall, but I have passed it many times. It looks wonderful.
Mm. The Moors, day 7.
So this is why this is a highlight strip, because usually from Richmond to get to the North York Moors is a 2-day walk across the flat Vale of Mowbray, which is probably the bit of the route that people say is their least favourite, so we miss it out. You can look across it. We will do, and we'll drive across it, but it's fairly flat farmland with so not the most exciting. So we miss it out and we go straight to Osmotherley. And from Osmotherley is right on the western side of the North York Moors. The North York Moors are the moorlands that are north of York, and it is the most extensive area of heather moorland in England. And again, full of prehistoric remains, standing stones, Bronze Age burials. It's an amazing landscape. And it's the most defined of our national parks. It is just a dome of hills, rolling hills. And the highest point is only 454 meters. So it's not really high, but they do
Yeah.
feel remote. So we head to Osmotherley, which is a
Yeah. Oh,
lovely
Mark, can I
town.
interrupt you quickly?
Yeah. Mhm.
We had a question, and it was from Karen Lissington. She was saying, "What time do we start walking in the morning?" Do you mind answering that one? Generalizing?
So it's generally at 9:30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Very
mean,
long days. Long.
yeah,
So you don't need to start early. You've got very long days, don't you?
Yeah.
of twilight.
So because the days are around sort of 16 kilometers, roughly 10
Yeah,
miles, give or take, those are um, it allows us time to be fairly leisurely, as in there's time to stop, admire the views, look at the history, and
yeah,
then so they're not big days. So starting at 9:30, sometimes there's a transfer out, which might take 15 minutes. Other times we walk from the door.
yeah.
But that allows us a day, and then we're hopefully finishing mid to late afternoon, 3 to 4
Wow.
o'clock, and then
Yeah.
there's time to relax at the hotel,
Oh,
and
perfect.
yeah. So with Osmotherley, it's again a beautiful village with a very historic Methodist chapel, one of the oldest. John Wesley preached there, and then we head out across the moors, and it's undulating moorland. Um, Um, and there's a lovely cafe called Lordstone's Cafe along the way, and we get lunch. So this one, as you can see on the profile of the elevation, heads up across a undulating moorland escarpment with amazing views. It's sweeping down to the Cleveland Plain with moorland on one side and dramatic views on the other. And we get to, you can see there be 1257, which is it's called Chop Gate, but it's pronounced Chop Yat. And we finish there, and then we transfer down to Gisborne Hall. So this one is about undulating moorland, completely different from what we've done before, and plenty of ups and downs along the way.
Mm.
And we head out to Gisborne Hall, which is there's the cafe there at the bottom. That's Lordstone's Cafe. And then that's the moorland. That's the sort of things you'll see. Exactly that. The top picture,
Mm.
hopefully with that light as well.
Yeah.
um, and Gisborne Hall is, I've said that last year. It's really beautiful and amazing grounds. And you're looking up to the escarpment to the Cleveland Hills as well that you've just walked upon that day. Lovely place.
Mm. Looks stunning.
It is. It is. That's a
Oh,
good one. And last day,
can I ask you a question?
yeah.
Adrian asked a question. Do the accommodation, the pubs, the castles provide a vegan option?
They will do, yes.
Yeah,
So it's they're on many of the walks. I'm pescatarian. Many people would take a vegetarian and vegan. So the best thing to do with that, they do provide it, is for us to let them know beforehand so they can get things, make sure they've got things in, particularly for
yeah.
breakfast. But it has not been a problem with vegan. There's yeah, it's most groups that take there's vegetarians or
Mm.
vegans, so it's
And
not a
then,
problem.
yeah, can you tell us about the last day?
So the last day we head from Gisborough back into the mornings. There's a transfer in the morning, and we go to Littlebeck, and which is this hamlet hidden away in this deep wooded valley. And then we walk up the wooded valley, which is a nature reserve, passing the Hermitage, which is carved out of the rock, which is quite a famous landmark on the coast. And we reach Falling Foss. Foss is a Viking word for a waterfall. So
Hmm.
it's hidden away. It's a rarity in the North York Moors due to the rocks. The rocks in the North York Moors are Jurassic and quite shaly, so that's why they're more rounded. So waterfalls are more common in the Lake District where the rocks are harder. But there is one there, and it's pretty dramatic. And then we just get from the top of Littlebeck Valley, we then transfer out to the coast at Horska, and then walk down the coast, which is about an hour, hour and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, about an hour and a half into Robin Hood's Bay. And we get the most amazing views. So there's the two walks. Again, that Littlebek walk. Last year, I did something different. I went to Whitby because the Endeavour replica was there, and Captain Cook, and
Yeah, we know Captain Cook.
so I'm quite into that part of my history, and the group were really interested in that. So we walked to the White Horse and Griffin, which is the pub that's still there, where Cook press ganged his crew, and then we walked up to the historic Abbey. So we did that, and then went to Hawkesbury. So there is. It
Oh,
depends on the
cool.
group, the variations that people want to
Yeah.
do, but
Oh, great.
that was just that history of it's something I'm interested in, and Captain Cook and Whitby. It's also
Yeah.
got famous for its Dracula. Um, anyway, so we finish at Robin Hood's Bay, which is this lovely fishing village that tumbles down to the sea, down cliffs. It was once a haunt of smugglers, and really narrow streets, and we wind our way through those down to all through you can see the bottom picture there. It's an amazing network of narrow lanes and
Yeah.
old houses. And then we reach the sea and we put our boots in and throw our stones. And then we have a drink, which is my group there on the left, last September at the end of the walk.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Got to have a brew at the end.
you do, sat under the sign. We had
Yeah.
to, that doesn't show. It was quite busy and there was about 20 people sat there. And so if you just say, excuse me, we've just finished the coast to coast, can you move out of the way? And they all did.
Yeah.
We got our photo taken under
Yeah.
the sun
Oh,
there.
cool.
And they're all applauding us and all sorts of things.
Yeah. Oh, good stuff. So yeah, thanks, Mark. That was pretty concise day to day of the itinerary with beautiful calm and stories to tell along the way, and lots of Viking history as well.
Loads.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure you're going to tell lots of stories and make it such a great journey
Yeah.
and learn lots along the way. So we've got a 31st of August and an 11th of September. What are they like for weather?
Um, well, I would say I'm doing the 11th of September one.
Yep,
So that's mine, and my colleague's doing the 31st. Richard Duckworth's doing the 31st of August, who lives on the
yeah,
coast of Cape.
but still pretty
Um,
good weather.
well, I think it's generally you get pretty good dry weather at that time of year.
Yeah.
It's hard to know. At the moment it's 30 degrees here at the moment, which is unheard
Oh
of
my
for the end of
goodness, you poor
May.
thing.
It's very warm, yeah,
Yeah,
and for England.
yeah,
So I think with the weather, which is why it's so green and beautiful, and there's lots of lakes, is that it does change. And just speaking to the trip, they started off with windy and wet weather a week ago in the Lake District, and then they finished with 30 degrees. So
yeah,
I think expect all seasons.
yeah, yeah. It's
It
good advice.
is England. It's our favourite
Yeah,
topic of conversation,
and
the weather.
then we've got two dates next season. We'll probably add to those dates by the looks of it. We've got a 18th of May, which is around about now, and then we'll have a 30th of August. But this tour is very very popular. We get quite a few. We probably get about four dates off a year,
Yeah,
four
yeah,
to five. Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, it's very popular. Hmm. Okay. Yeah. We've got a few questions here, Mark. From Lisa Parnell. Geez, that's a familiar name, Lisa. I don't know where I've met you from, but it sounds familiar. You do the full walk, and is accommodation the same or similar? No, we don't do the full walk. I think the full walk would probably take 15 days, 16 days.
Yeah, I do it, but obviously that's myself, and we do it in 2 weeks, 14 days.
Yeah.
That's without break.
Maybe
So it,
if you're interested in doing the whole thing,
mm,
send us an email and we'll pass your details on to Mark, and he might have his own
yeah,
departures. But yeah, we just do the highlights
mhm.
in that we picked out the best parts of this walk. If you've got the time and you want to do the whole thing, certainly please, yeah, let us know if you want to do the whole thing. But that's something we don't do. Sue Tompkinson. If you wake up one day and your mind says yes, but your body says no, I can understand that. Do you just catch the bus to the next stop? Sprain ankle or illness? Absolutely, Sue. As we tried to explain, it's your holiday. You are not, don't have to be on a death march, and if you don't want to walk, by certainly, we have to work around the bus, but we could certainly. Can you add to that, Mark? We could
Yes.
certainly amend the day. You could possibly walk the morning and knock off after lunch, or maybe don't do don't do the morning walk and meet at lunch and do the afternoon. There's lots of, it depends on the day and what flexibility we're able to offer, but the guides certainly will accommodate and make your day flexible.
So just to add to that, last year the Grasmere to Patterdale Day, because there isn't an option for lunch because you're heading over a mountain pass. Two people had the morning in Grasmere, walking around, looking at the church, Wordsworth graves, going to coffee shops, and the minibus driver, who, I mean, the drivers are great. They waited and then took them over to Glenridding. So there's real flexibility. The driver, we're working together. They'll take you to villages if you want to spend a morning there, if you want to have a rest day.
Yeah.
Um, but it does depend on the day. There is the option to, on some days, to meet at lunchtime and do the afternoon or just
Yeah.
do the morning.
The operators are great and they send the same bus driver and he's very accommodating, isn't he?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
is. Yeah, it's great.
We might open up the mic now to all our participants. So if you have any other further questions, we're unmuting anybody. Um,
I've got one for you.
oh, cool. Who's this?
Leanne.
Oh, g'day, Leanne. Thanks
I've
for attending.
I've done a couple of walks with you here in Australia. I'm just wondering if you could give a comparison to what they might look, what the difficulty is. So I've done Larapinta and
Oh,
I
yeah.
did I did Three Capes in March down in Tassie. Just interested in I mean, I can see the distances, that's fine. Just interested in the climb difficulty part of it.
Yeah, I think Lara Pinta would be definitely a harder walk, in that, it's a very, very hard surface that you're walking on. You're mostly walking on quartzite for that whole time. Very undulating, really uneven footpaths, whereas England, this is a well-trodden path, very good path. But Mark me up might be able to. It's hard because I haven't done this walk. Mark's done it, but I don't know if you've done the Lara Pinta, Mark, in Australia.
No, I haven't
No,
been south of the
it'd
equator.
be well formed paths, but yes, you still got, you know, uh, what maximum 400 meters climbing a day over the for 8 days.
Might be some of them. The 2 days up to Honister and over to Glenreading might be a touch more than that, maybe about 500 meters. But
Yeah,
the Lake District Pass are, because it's mountainous and rocky, they're a bit rockier. So you do have some small streams, but you can usually step across them, and they are well trodden paths, but they can be a bit rocky in the Lake District, and simple sort of rock steps to
yeah.
step down. And
The
then you
good
get
thing
to the
is you're in exceptionally good hands. The guides have done this walk and seen many, many people, and I suppose, Leanne, they're going to have a good read on you and your ability after day one, day two. And, um, I think if you've done Lara Pinta already, you should be able to do these walks. Because Lara Pinta would be one of the hardest walks in Australia because of the terrain and what you're
It,
walking on. I
it
think you'd
was
be
it
right.
was tough,
Yeah, yeah.
definitely.
But the good thing is you're with guides and if you are in trouble, they will suggest easier options every day. So, you know, it might not be
And
just, yeah, you want to take the day off. It's easy. We can facilitate that on a daily basis.
I think
I've also done the full Cotswolds way. I'm assuming this one's a more challenging walk with the hills on it.
well, the Cotswolds are undulating. So the first
Hmm.
day and going through the Yorkshire Dales are higher hills than the Cotswolds, but that'll be similar terrain. The Yorkshire Dales and North York Moors to the Cotswolds, similar because we're going through valleys, and
Hmm.
so I think a just having walking boots with a good sole on them, and that'll take out uh,
Yeah.
most of the.
And it's a team effort. We want everybody to be together. We have tricks of the trade, how we can bring you all together. And
Yeah. So I think I've mentioned this before. We're doing 16 kilometers at maximum, I think, in a day, and we've got all day to do it. So we take our time. We're there to
yeah,
help. And I mean, the full route is just short of 200 miles, 320, 310, 320 kilometers,
yeah.
and averaging 14, 15 miles a day for 2 weeks. So this is the highlights, which is 10 miles a day for 8 days, taking the very best bits. So there's time to enjoy it, savor the views, the history, and we just take our time. And then we have the minibus and driver as a backup as well. So it's a very well organized trip. But the terrain, as I said, in the Lake District is rocky in places, not all of it, and then it improves as you go to the Yorkshire Dales as to more
Yeah.
fields, and there are lots of styles to cross, sort of step styles over the stone walls in places. That's just the nature of the landscape. But if you've done the Cotswold Way, it's similar to that. I said it's similar to that for the first day in the Yorkshire Dales and North York Moors. Similar.
Okay. Yeah, thanks, Mark. Good
Mm.
question. Thank you. Anybody got any other questions? Oh, I've got another question from Lisa. What do you think is the best time to walk to see the flowers?
Uh,
Question.
well, May now, the flowers are coming out. They are at their height in mid-June, but I'm out a lot at the moment, and there are loads of flowers out at the moment. So the May time is really good for flowers. But the hay meadows are at their best in. They're just coming out. There's a lot of buttercups now, but the verges and are full of flowers. I was out at the weekend in the North York Moors and just
Yeah.
loads, at least a score of different
So this
wildflowers.
side of the season is the best time.
Yeah. The autumn side, well, the September side is heather moorlands are out in bloom, purple flowers everywhere. So that's the moorland
Yeah.
is so that time of year.
Okay. We had another question, someone wanting to combine the this walk with our Scottish walk. I don't know if you're aware, but you can not all walks, not all the coast to coast combine with a West Highland Way walk, but we do. It's pretty cool because we finish this walk and then transfer up into Scotland via Hadrian's Wall. Take a day to do that transfer and then do the West Highland Way, which is another classic United Kingdom walk. So
Mm.
yes, we do it. Yeah, talk to the staff about how, but not all of them go straight on. Some of them, because this is so popular, we got some standalone, and
Mm.
then we do actually. Yeah, you can do this walk with the West Highland Way. But I'd talk and ask that question of the reservation staff. Do we have any more questions? I think a couple of people have said thank you. I also want to just say thank you so much, Mark, for helping us put this amazing walk. It's probably one of the best walks in the world. You're very, very lucky. It highlights, well, it's stunning walks, but what a great place to, have lunch at the Gunners Inn, and experience all that history. Lots of history, lots of things to see, great accommodation, but you're doing with like-minded sort of people and having a ball by the sounds of it.
Yeah, it is superb. It's always I've done it loads of times and I always look forward to it. That's how good the walk is. I think
Yeah.
Wainwright, when he wrote this book, he just finished doing a guidebook to the Pennine Way, and then when he finished this, he said the difference between the two is that when you finish the Pennine Way, you're glad that you finished it, and when you finish the Coast to Coast, you're sad and you want to do it again. So
Yeah.
it is very true.
Yeah.
It's
What a great
wonderful.
way to finish.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't think there's any more questions, but thank you so much, everybody. If you do have any further questions, please reach out via their email or our staff. And thank you so much, everybody. It was a really, really good attendee. So, yeah. So thanks, everybody, for attending. Thanks, Mark. We're so lucky to have you
No
on
problem.
board. Thanks for looking after all our guests. And yeah, I can't wait to do it myself and be with you on one of these.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Val.
Well, yeah, enjoy yourself. Wear some sunscreen. 30 degrees sounds, yeah, you poor
It's
thing.
hot for England. That's very hot for
Yeah,
England.
yeah. Anyway, great. Nice to meet you. You sound like a great bloke. And yeah, thank you so much. And thanks
Thank you.
everybody for attending.